Hello, gentlemen, and welcome to the Men Save Your Marriage show. My name is Terry. I'm your host. I did an autopsy on my failed marriage, and now I use the lessons that I learned to coach other men on how to save their marriage before it fails. I'm going to share with you the things I wish someone would have shared with me before my marriage failed. Are you ready? Let's get started. Hello, gentlemen, and welcome in. You heard the bell. That means that we are in the fight. We are in the ring, and we are going to fight together, not against each other, but with each other for your marriage. My name is Terry. I'm your host. This is episode 74, and as we continue in our series, this is the war against fear, Brotherhood, and battle lines. As you know, this is the Men Save Your Marriage show. I'm thrilled that you're here today, and we're going to get into a deep topic, and we're going to chew this one up pretty good for the next few minutes. So, as I said, we're in the bell. You heard the bell. We're in the ring. You heard the bell at the beginning of the intro. Men are breaking in silence. You guys that listen to me, and men just like you are falling apart behind closed doors, behind screens, behind complete polite smiles. You think you're the only one fighting. You think you're alone, but you're not. You're surrounded by men in the same battle. Men that are tired, ashamed, uncertain. But here's the problem. None of you are talking. And that isolation is killing you. You weren't meant to fight alone. No man was or ever was. The strongest warriors in our society, think about this. The strongest warriors in our society and through all of history have always fought in units. The most powerful armies move in formation. When I think of guys like SEALs and Force Recon and these elite squads, they never do anything alone. The strongest warriors fight in units. But somehow along the line, men forgot that. I'm talking about you and me, married men, everyday men, men who are fighting in life, men who are trying to survive, men who are trying to take care of families, save a failing marriage, raise children, pay your taxes, make the bills covered and have a few dollars left at the end of the week. You're still in a fight, you're still in a battle, it's just a different kind of a battle. But somewhere along the lines we forgot that we were not supposed to be alone. We were told to be self-sufficient, to never need help, to handle everything alone. Now look around and answer me this question, gentlemen. How is that working out for us? Depression is up. Divorce is up. Passivity everywhere. Men who isolate are easy to destroy. Fear multiplies in silence. And the sneaky part, shame thrives in solitude. And nobody outside has to beat you up anymore. You're now beating yourself up. Brotherhood is the antidote. See, men are collapsing under the weight of silence. They smile in public and they die in private. They're losing their homes, their respect, their purpose, and their marriages while pretending that everything is fine. I know. I talk to you guys all the time. You sit in your cars after work and wonder where the man you used to be went to. Guys scroll through their phones instead of standing in the gap. They walk on eggshells instead of walking with authority. And they tell themselves, tomorrow I'll step up. Tomorrow I will complete. Tomorrow I will this, and tomorrow I will that. And tomorrow never comes. Isolation, I submit, kills men long before divorce papers do. Fear thrives when no one is watching. Shame grows when no one is speaking. And you were not designed to fight alone. I'm going to say that one again. You were not designed to fight alone. You need brothers. You need battle lines. You need a reason to stand when everything else inside of you wants to quit. Because no man wins a war alone. We're going to talk about why you need men beside you, what true brotherhood looks like, and how to draw battle lines that keep you grounded in this fight. Again, no man wins a war alone. As always, I have 3 points I want to share with you briefly, and we will get you through this podcast and into your day and back into the fight. Point 1, isolation breeds weakness. Isolation doesn't happen all at once. It kind of creeps in slowly. First, you pull back from your friends because you're tired. Then you stop opening up because it just feels pointless. Eventually, you convince yourself that no one understands your situation, and you stop reaching out. You stop connecting. You stop being honest. And fear loves that. You see, fear whispers, you're the only one. And it tells you that if people knew what's really going on, they'd think less of you. It convinces you that isolation is safety. But isolation is a cage, gentlemen. And when a man isolates, he loses perspective. He loses energy and he loses hope. And without other men speaking truth into your life, your mind turns against you. You start believing lies like this, and tell me if you haven't said some of these to yourself. My marriage is too far gone. I'm not cut out to lead. And if she doesn't respect me, maybe I don't deserve it. These lies take root because no one is there to challenge them. In isolation, you become both judge and prisoner, and the longer you stay alone, the more your confidence erodes. Isolation kills leadership because leadership is relational. You cannot lead others when you are disconnected yourself. Your wife feels it, your kids feel it, the whole atmosphere of your home feels it. Men are meant to sharpen each other. Alone, you will be dull. But together, it ignites a fire in us. You don't need 1,000 friends. You need just a few men who will tell you the truth, even when it stings. No. Forget stings, even when it hurts. Isolation breeds weakness. Brotherhood breeds strength. Point 2, brotherhood builds strength. You see, brotherhood isn't about comfort, it's about confrontation. You don't need men who make you feel good, you need men who make you better. You need brothers who will say to you, you are slipping, or men who will tell you that you are being lazy, and men maybe who will remind you, you said you would lead, now lead. That's brotherhood. That's accountability. And brotherhood is built on honesty, accountability, and a shared mission. The wrong kind of men will distract you. They'll keep you entertained and passive. The right kind of men will challenge you. They'll push you towards action. When you surround yourself with strong men, your standards rise. You see another man's consistency, and it reminds you of what's possible. You see another man's courage, and it calls you to face your own fear. And when you see another man's leadership at home, it exposes where you have settled. This is the basics of iron sharpens iron. But friction is required, gentlemen. You can't get sharp without friction. Brotherhood is not about avoiding pain. It's about walking through it together. You need men who will fight for your marriage when you're too tired to fight for it yourself. When you're ready to quit, they won't let you. When you start making excuses, they'll call you out. And when you drift into passivity, they'll pull you back to your standard, and that is strength. You don't become strong by lifting yourself up. You become strong by locking arms with men who refuse to let you fall. Brotherhood reminds you that you are not alone in the war. And it is the voice, brotherhood is the voice that says to you, get up, you are still in this. And finally, draw your battle lines. Point number 3. Brotherhood is built around clarity. You can't stand beside men if you don't know what you're standing for. And every man must draw battle lines, make sure they're clear, non-negotiable standards for what he will fight for and what he will not tolerate. Battle lines protect your focus. They remind you of what matters most. Ask yourself this: what am I fighting for? What am I protecting? What am I refusing to lose? Write it down. Speak it out loud, man. Own it. Then share it with your brothers. Let them hold you to it. Your battle lines might look like this. Here are just some examples that I have written myself, or I have worked with other men that they have written. I will fight for my marriage no matter how long it takes. That was a man who decided he was saving his marriage, and he did. I will protect my children from emotional chaos. That was a man that had determined that his children and his family had gone through enough, and he was going to stand up and guard them. I will not live in fear. I wrote that one myself years ago. I will not settle for being half the man I'm called to be. Every one of us should write that one down. Every single one of us should write that one down. One of the things that I try to remember every day, and I will just throw this in as an aside, I'll never forget, I got the opportunity years ago to spend an afternoon in a small group of people with a billionaire. And he spent all of his time not talking about money, not talking about his success, not talking about all that he had. He spent his time talking about the man he was, the man he wanted to be, the man he was challenging himself to be. And as I thought about that over and over again throughout the course of the years, I realized he had made up in his mind that it was the man that he wanted to be that could make the biggest influence. And it was the man that he was becoming that could make the biggest influence. It had nothing to do, or very little to do, with his wealth, what he had, what he produced, none of that. It was about who he was when he looked himself in the mirror. And one of the things that he said to me, to us, and I will never forget it, he said, when this life is over, your hell begins when the man you were meets the man you could have been. And I'll never forget thinking, I want to meet myself, but I want to have fully been the man that I could have been. And I will not settle for being half the man I'm called to be is something that each of us should write down today. You see, these lines, these examples, and whatever lines may fit your situation and your life, they define your mission. Without them, you wander. With them, you stand firm. When you start to drift, your brothers will point back to these lines that you've written, and they'll remind you of your vow. Because when the enemy presses, you need men who say, no, hold the line. We've got this. Without battle lines, brotherhood becomes talk. And with them, it becomes an army. And some final thoughts as we close this episode out. And before I give you your marching orders for the week. You were never meant to do this alone. You are bleeding from a battle you refuse to admit that you are in. Your silence is not protecting anything. It is destroying everything. Your marriage is not failing because you are unworthy. It is failing because you are fighting alone. Find men who are not afraid to speak truth to you. Men who call you to a higher standard. Men who refuse to let you die quietly. No man falls alone and gets back up alone. Brotherhood keeps you standing when you want to collapse. Draw your lines, lock arms, enter the fight. You see, isolation is destroying men one quiet day at a time. But brotherhood revives them one hard conversation at a time. And you need men who will tell you the truth, not coddle you. You need men who will fight beside you and not pity you. If you want to build your marriage, your leadership, your strength, you need brothers. You need men who will remind you who you are when you forget. So find them, lock arms, and draw your battle lines. Now, as we finish, here are your marching orders for this week and this episode when you listen to this. 1, reach out to one man in your life who knows the truth about you. Tell him about the fight that you're in and you need accountability. and write down one line that defines what you're fighting for. And if you have no one, if you cannot think of a single man in your life who will hold you accountable, a single man who you can share this information with, knowing that he is going to get in your face and he's going to force you back into the fight and he's going to help you be strong when you need it. If you have no one, then you text me. My name is Terry. I'm your host, but I can stand in the gap with you. You can text me at 812-648-3380. And all you have to do is send me a text that says, I need a brother. I'll know exactly what that means. I know that isolation breeds fear. Brotherhood builds strength. So draw your lines, find your brothers, and enter the fight. That's it for today, gentlemen. I want to thank you for being here. I look forward to hearing from you. And I want your feedback about this episode along with this call to brotherhood. I want you to tell me how you're doing. And if you don't have someone, you text me that you need a brother. Until next time, gentlemen, have a great day and go find yourself a brother and get back in the fight. Take care.